Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode 162 of Verbal Graffiti with your host, Brian Glass, a.k.a. the B-Man, the People's Degenerate. I found myself out at a beachside bar, restaurant, ice cream shop in West Haven, Connecticut last Sunday. Yes, Connecticut does have beachfront property. It's tolerable. That's how I describe beachfront property in Connecticut. Beaches in Connecticut are not, you don't vacation at a Connecticut beach, especially if you're out of state. The Connecticut beaches are more, we don't feel like driving to Rhode Island or the Jersey Shore, so we'll just go to a Connecticut beach for the day. The afternoon. You never spend more than one afternoon and or evening at a Connecticut beach because they're not an eyesore, but there's no sandals resorts in Connecticut, if you catch my drift. Anyways, we're at this bar with a few friends of mine. That's right, there are some people that I'm not related to that do enjoy my company for a few hours at a time. Or so I think. Maybe they talk shit behind my back about how boring, bland of a person I am, because I am kind of quiet in person. That might surprise you to hear that, but I'm pretty quiet and cerebral when I'm in person, because I'm an observer. And so we go to this bar for my friend's birthday, 40th birthday, which I find amusing because I'm scrolling through Facebook, as I do, to keep check on all the people I went to high school with. Actually, they're all doing better than me, other than the drug addicts and the ones who have died because of cancer or some other rare disease. But everybody who's relatively healthy and has not gotten addicted to drugs or alcohol is doing better than me, family-wise and professionally. Anyways, I've noticed we go to this bar on Sunday, me and my friends, to celebrate my friend's 40th birthday. I don't remember if I mentioned that, but as I was scrolling through Facebook, it occurred to me that almost everybody that I went to high school with in my grade is turning 40 this year. And I find that amusing because I'm 41 and a half maybe at this point. So I'm creeping up towards 42 when everybody I graduated with in high school, shout out to Sheehan High School, Wallingford, Connecticut, is turning 40. And I find that amusing because I'm nearly 2 years older than my classmates, my previous classmates. And that's because I spent 3 years in kindergarten. Reading was difficult for me. Writing my name was challenging. I used to write my name backwards. I didn't have dyslexia, but I was on the dyslexia spectrum. So it took me a while to get going. I think I might have turned 9 years old when I was in first grade. I was at the point where I graduated high school when I was 19. One more year, and I'm not positive, but I think in Connecticut, you're not allowed to be in high school when you're 20. They make you get your GED because you kind of get on that you're too old, and if you date anybody, that gets a little sketchy. But we ain't talking about that. The sketchiness dating-wise. So maybe we will in the future, but not right now. So I just find that amusing because as I'm scrolling through Facebook, all my former classmates in high school are celebrating their 40th birthday, either now or in the previous months or the upcoming months. And I'm like, 2 years. I was there nearly 2 years ago. And that's because I'm a dumb and it took me 3 years to graduate high school. Anyways, we're at this bar in West Haven, Connecticut. And it's if you've never been to West Haven, Connecticut, think Jersey Shore. It's Jersey Shore-esque, maybe without, with the testosterone, just maybe one steroid vial in your butt cheek instead of 3 or 4. So we're almost a quarter, maybe a third Jersey Shore. A lot of Italians, a lot of mixed race, a lot of white beaters, a lot of gold, silver chains, a lot of crosses in between the low-cut blouses. It's very, and we go into it's a beachfront. Sorry, across the street from the West Haven Beach, and they got. It's a little bit of everything. They got a huge TV showing sports. They got a tiki bar. They got what's the game where you the beanbag game, cornhole. They got the cornhole. There's a stage where they put bands. They have fire pits. They have a grill for like cheeseburgers and hot dogs, and they sell ice cream. The only thing this bar, Riva, RIVA, was missing was a Ferris wheel, and they did have a painting, a mural of what's that place along the shoreline? What's the place in New York City with the famous Nathan's hot dog? Oh, my memory is mush. But they had a mural that's similar to that. But if this bar had a Ferris wheel, it would have had everything. But they have everything but the Ferris wheel. But it was good. They had drink spots in throughout the bar, so there weren't lines to get drinks. I only had one Corona that cost $10. Fucking ridiculous. That a Corona can cost me $10 in West Haven, Connecticut, which is not. It's not like a high real estate, high upper class area. $10 for one Corona can, and she barely opened it for me. She cracked it, and I had to open it all the way myself. The bartender, that is. But thank you for your service. But I go in this bar. And like I mentioned earlier, I don't do much speaking myself. My friends do most of the talking. I'll occasionally give a line that hopefully gets a laugh or a giggle, keep the conversation going, but keep the attention off me. But I go into this, and it's like indoor, outdoor, kind of an amphitheater type bar environment. And I'm like West Haven, Connecticut, and this establishment, Riva, not sure how to pronounce it. How do I describe? I just described it, but it really is. It's a human zoo. That's what it was. No petting allowed unless you know the babe. But it was a human zoo. I found myself observing all the types of people there, and they were all stereotypes, like to a T. They're just matching the stereotype. Italians, like I said, white beater chain, and every babe in this bar in West Haven, Connecticut, dressed and looked like a hooker. Like if you didn't know any better, that you would have thought we were at the Bunny Ranch in Las Vegas. And I've never been to the Bunny Ranch, but it is notorious, and I'm pretty certain this new bar in West Haven is going to be. It's going to become notorious, at least regionally it will be. But every babe there was a cougar, was probably over the age of 35, and had botched plastic surgery. All the boobs were like up here, straight out, a little. There was a babe she was wearing a low-cut blouse, but she had a bra on, and it was all bumpy. So it either was a thick push-up bra, or it was just a botched, mangled boob job, and she was not the only one. So there are clearly plastic surgeons in Connecticut, along the shoreline, Fairfield County, New Haven County, West Haven area that are just mangling women babes in Connecticut. There was I'm not joking. I am not. If you go to this bar, Riva in West Haven, Connecticut, honestly, if you went up to a babe and you gave her $200 and go, hey, what can I get for this? And if she were just slap you in the face, I'm not a hooker, but I wouldn't blame you for thinking or assuming that lady was a hooker, because everyone at this bar, and again, this was mid-August, so it was a hot evening, was dressed very provocatively. Yeah, they're at a bar, but as soon as they walk on the sidewalk, like along the street, like you would think they were street hooker. That's how every babe was dressed at this bar. You know what that means? The B-Man will be back there next week. I just so many awful tattoos. There were guys, with the face skull tattoo. There was this hot Asian babe. I wanted to go up, chat her up, try to woo her, if you will, but she was seated next to a gentleman, beer belly, muscular, with a tattoo on the top of his head. So I decided maybe I should not go up and try to spit game with this Asian lady. So I did not. I just sipped my $10 Corona and played a cornhole. But this establishment, it is a human zoo of characters, a lot of blacks, a lot of whites, a lot of frat bros, a lot of cougars with botched plastic surgery. There were even a few animals there that had what do they call that? The BBL, the Brazilian butt lift. They were like wobbling around in high heels, and there's definitely something going on with that backside. It was just everybody. People in suspenders. There were children there. It was like some people had to pay a cover, some people didn't. Like some people were told they could get free ice cream, and then they'd go to get the ice cream, and then the ice cream scooper lady was like, "No, we don't give out free ice cream here." Like, well, what do you think this is? A children's birthday party? This is an adult establishment. So a little hectic there. But if you want to. When you think of plastic surgery, you always think like porn stars in New York and LA, but everywhere else in the United States, like even along the coast, Connecticut, there's a lot of plastic surgeons that are just like melting human bodies, just turning them into look like honestly, some of these babes look like a melting cone of ice cream. That's like their boobs were all over, like a Picasso painting, just all over the place. Of course, the lip fillers. It's a place, man. It is a zoo. It is a zoo. So if you want to go observe human activity in the wild, but secluded, go to Riva in West Haven, Connecticut. And as I've always said here at Verbal Graffiti, or I've always advised, if you're going to get plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery to enhance whatever you want to enhance, as a male or a female, go to New York or LA, Las Vegas, Miami, and pay the $15,000 to get the good boobies, to get the top shelf jigglers. You got to go to the best surgeons, and you got to pay up for it. Do not go cheap and spend $3,500 with a $10 off promo code off boobsinconnecticut.com. Do your research, please. Please, I implore you, do your research, because I don't want to see you. And this is not the pervert B-Man. This is just the human empathy coming from the B-Man. I don't want to see you at Riva, West Haven, Connecticut, with Picasso boobs, with boobs that look like they're choking your neck. I want you to have the boobs that are like, oh, all right, good for you, good for your man, good for your side piece, good for your sugar daddy. But if you're gonna do it, pay up. Because you get what you pay for. But West Haven, Connecticut, I'll be back at Riva. I'll be back there. All right, that's Riva. Let's keep the episode moving along. This one, I'll put it up here. Let's delve into this one, okay? This comes from a subreddit, a chatGPTNSFW, which stands, probably most of you know, not suitable for work. A subreddit for content generated by ChatGPT and methods for how to circumvent its content filters. Now, I don't have any specific posts because many of them were lewd and just was copy-paste the erotic literature that ChatGPT created for them, and how to circumvent, the GBT words to get the erotic literature. That's not what I'm interested in. This is, As you can tell, if you're a fan of Verbal Graffiti, for about 50 episodes prior, I read The Salesman's Wife, the 2 pages per episode to you, the audience, if you're new and you're not aware. But I read smut literature. I collect it. These are all novels and newspapers from the 1970s, smut literature books. And I buy them online, I collect them, I read them. I'm a well-read pervert. Right? Like I am a intellectual. How should I describe myself in my? I am a intellectual hornball. That's what the B-Man is. I read smut literature to get off. Not always, but occasionally. It makes me giggle, but it also makes Mr. Perfect, my penis, erect. So I have a lot of passion for erotic literature. This book, written by John Lawrence and many authors like him. And as I've already said, the 1970s smut literature that's my wheelhouse. That's my preference. That's my favorite decade of smut books. So now that I know that there are people who are not buying smut novels, but are actually going to ChatGPT to have literature written for them by ChatGPT, like that breaks my heart. And as many of you know, when I pull a post from Reddit, usually I'll write in my notes, I'll write a quick outline of topics I want to hit about that post. And I realized when I read the outline of what I had wrote about this subreddit, chatGPTNSFW, that the outline I wrote in my Apple Notes, it's kind of a short essay. And I'll be quite frank with you, whatever the fuck that means, quite frank. But sometimes after I talk about a post on Reddit and I go to edit, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to mention, ABC, and I had a point, but you're in the camera. The bullets are flying, and sometimes I forget to mention something. And I actually wrote a short essay of my opinions, my feelings about Johns using ChatGPT to get their smut literature. And I don't want to miss any of the points that I wrote out in my notes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read what it is I wrote word for word so that I don't leave anything out. So my apologies in advance if you see me reading instead of talking to you. But I'm going to try to do both at the same time, read aloud to you because I got a lot of feelings. And when I reread the notes that I took, I realized, oh, this is not all shits and giggles. This is one that I get the feels for, that I have real opinions about. And they are not just sarcastic opinions. This is coming from the B-Man. All right, from one pervert to another. Hopefully you can relate. And these are my opinions that I wrote down that I have about the subreddit chatGPTNSFW, not suitable for work. Is nothing sacred anymore? The Johns and Janets are using ChatGPT to get their smut literature. It's because of normies like you that great literary minds like John Lawrence are going to be out of work. If you're too embarrassed to have smut on your bookshelf, then you don't deserve the right to adult-only novels. You don't need passwords and workarounds to get your salacious content. There are thousands of not suitable for works books going back hundreds of years that you can buy on sites such as abebooks.com, where I got most of these from. Yeah, I'm positive ChatGPT can give you a worthy smut novel to read while you're pretending to watch your daughter play soccer, but ChatGPT can only give you the words. And maybe that may be enough to get your gasm, but it's not for me, the B-Man. It isn't enough to be completely immersed in smut. There's something tangible about an erotic novel that ChatGPT cannot provide. The touch, the cover, the flipping of the pages, the smell of a book published in 1970. We all know that book. Or sorry, that scent. When you go to a library and the smell of book, that musk, that denseness in the air, that the books that are sitting on those shelves for decades that have been unopened, but you open it for the first time. And that smell, it's authentic, it's real. That's a scent ChatGPT cannot give you. And holding a book in your hands, ChatGPT cannot recreate that. Using ChatGPT to get your not suitable for work stories makes it seem like you're ashamed of who you are, of what makes you dizzy in the head and tingly in your genitals. It's too easy to hide. You see somebody peeking over your shoulder on the Metro North, you can easily turn your phone. I've seen plenty of commuters sexting while seated next to me on the way from New Haven to Grand Central, New York City. Maybe I'm a relic of a previous era, but to me, there's a profound difference between scrolling with your phone with your index finger and turning the pages with your thumb, like that. Profound difference. There's something noble about getting caught reading a paperback smut novel. It's telling the world you're proud of your heritage and your sexuality, similar to a teenage girl wearing a low-cut blouse for the first time. Breaks my heart to know that I'm fighting a losing battle, like my predecessors with nudie magazines, telling a younger generation that the centerfold on pages 33 and 34 is more bodacious than anything AOL dial-up internet can give you. And those old-timers kept buying magazines at newsstands until the last stand had them shelved. And here I am, an old soul of smut, yelling at the battlefield of horny Johns and Janets, singing the praises of buying secondhand novels from secondhand online retailers for $20 a pop. Before I can finish my speech, ChatGPT has already published 300 pages of the most foul, cum-drenched story John Lawrence couldn't write in his most erotic day. Just makes me sad and hollow on the inside. And it does. It does. And it do. It do. I just something, it's a losing battle. I know I've already lost it. Like, it's not a battle. The battle has already been fought. Technology has won. Nobody wants to walk on the streets with a smut novel in hand. They don't want to hide it in their phone. It's so accessible, easier to attain. Like I mentioned with the nudie magazines and internet. It's just, I used to laugh at my friend's fathers who had Playboys. I'm like, why do you keep those Playboys when you got the internet, AOL dial-up? You get it downloaded in a couple minutes. But now I'm the father. I'm not a father, but I'm the father holding erotic smut novels, trying to tell a younger generation, this is real smut. What's on your phone, what ChatGPT gives you, that might be smut, that might get you off, but this is authentic. And, it breaks my heart. It really does. Because I'm an old soul of smut. And I'm proud of the fact that I'm an old smut soul who still reads smut literature via book, not online using ChatGPT. But I know I'm a dying breed. I'm an endangered species. We should be kept in captivity. All of us perverts who read smut literature and or collect it. It's just, I'm not sad for me. I'm just sad for the newer generation, the Zoomers, who, have all this access to online smut at such an early age, who they can't nut without, tying a girl around the neck with a rope and having her face turn purple. It's a new era. I know I gotta adjust. I gotta get going with the times. It's just sometimes it's nice to look back at a bygone era and reminisce and get your nut to how our predecessors used to get their nut. Let's go look at some photos. Yo, 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 episode 162, segment 2. Verbal graffiti, I've noticed, is starting to gain notoriety on the internet. It's taken a while, and it's not a lot of notoriety, but for us, it's more than we've gotten previously. The entire episodes, are still very, very low as far as viewership. We're averaging, guessing here, not definitive numbers, but anywhere between 3 and 12 views per episode, which you can't make a living with those type of numbers. But our YouTube shorts, while most of them aren't getting many views at all, I have had 5 in the last 2 or 3 weeks that have gotten over 1,000 views, which is a big deal for us. That's 4 digits. That's a big number for us here at Verbal Graffiti. So thank you for any of you out there that are watching and participating. Please feel free to leave a comment and engage down below. Just don't make it negative because that will hurt my feelings. I want to point out, so I've gotten 1,000 views on some of those shorts, and of 1,000 views, the last one only got 7 likes. That seems pitiful, right? Like 7 out of 1,000 liked it. Give it the heart, the thumbs up. That's very similar to you'll hear like a PUA, right? PUA, pickup artists will tell you, well, hey, if you ask 100 babes to have sex with you, 1 out of 100 will say yes. Well, my stats are less than 1 out of 100. It's like 1 out of every 150, 175 are saying yes. And that's not the sex. That's just liking a 25-second video that I put out. So I don't know what to think of that. Like I would like some more hearts, but hey, 7 hearts for a guy who's never really had a real relationship. That's 7 hearts ain't nothing. Not going to sneeze at it. I'm going to brag about it. So yeah, 1,000, we're in the 4 digits with some of those shorts. So business is starting to pick up here at Verbal Graffiti. Maybe it will turn into our attitude era. Anyway, upward and onward. And again, thank you if you have watched any videos here at Verbal Graffiti. We do appreciate it. All right, this one comes from the subreddit. Legal advice off topic. Have you had anything to drink tonight? ? Hypothetical question. Sure it is. Say you go over a friend's house to watch football. He gives you 1 standard beer and you drink it. You hang out with him watching the games for the next 4 hours after finishing the beer, and you don't consume any more alcohol or intoxicants. Driving home at 11:45 p.m., you get pulled over for allegedly crossing the white line with your tire. The cop asks, have you had anything to drink tonight? What's the right answer? Multiple choice, okay? A, quote, I just had 1 beer and it was hours ago, unquote. B, I have a 5th Amendment right not to answer questions. Or C, no, of course not. Edit, move the time from 1 a.m. back to 11:45 p.m. So this is late night, Sunday night game. After the game, you're driving home, cop pulls you over. C is always the answer, but if it's a multiple choice exam, you always go with C if you haven't studied for it. C is always the answer. No, officer, I have not had anything to drink this evening. Actually, I haven't had any liquids at all this entire weekend. I'm feeling a little dehydrated. Please, officer, is there a whites only water fountain somewhere nearby? Because I'm feeling a little dehydrated and I need to consume some liquids. No, definitely C. You never tell a cop you just had 1 alcoholic beverage. Now, Now, there's your answer. But now I have a question for you, Mr. One Beer Queer. One beer, one beer. I'm not a cop. I know I have a shaved head, have a bit of a military look. No. I just do research during the day. That's my job. I'm not a cop. I don't have a badge. I've never been in law enforcement. I'm kumbaya with law enforcement, but I am not law enforcement. So be honest with the B-man, because I know you're not being honest. Nobody has one beer while watching a football game. It's impossible to watch a football. Sorry. Let me. My throat. It is impossible. Well, that's a little homoerotic. Just my throat. All right. Enough with the sophomoric jokes. But say one drink. You had one drink while watching football. No, you didn't. Because I know that it is impossible to watch a football game without having a minimum of 5 alcoholic beverages, 1 per quarter and 1 during halftime. And that's just a normal game. Now you're telling me you watched football at your friend's house and had 1 beer, right? There was no pressure from all the other guys to have more beer. You didn't lose 1 parlay, 1 in-game bet that you got frustrated, so you had a shot of Fireball. There was no jungle juice. Your host of the party only gave you 1 beer. Well, he only had 2 Coors Lights in the fridge. I think not, unless it was one of those like 12%. 24-ounce IPAs, you're bullshitting me. And anybody who watches football knows you're bullshitting us. And probably that police officer knows you're bullshitting him well. So I don't believe for 1 second that you only had 1 beer, 1 cocktail while watching a Sunday night game. And cops know this too. That's why he's asking you the question. But you never admit to having a beer. Because once you tell a police officer, yeah, I just had 1 beer 3 hours ago, that is it. That gives a police officer a license to take you out of car, to search your vehicle. Maybe it is or not. But once you say you have 1 beer, that opens the gates to the police officer to do more investigation. And like I said, I almost guarantee, I know that you didn't have 1 drink. When you got pulled over, all right, you probably had double vision. You probably had drool going down your wife beater. You probably had a half-empty flask of Dubra vodka in the glove compartment or under the driver's seat. You were probably swallowing whatever other drugs you had, so it wasn't like on your person. Like you were fucked, right? You were swaying between the lines. But thankfully for you, and not for all the other drivers on the highway, I've always made this point, and maybe I haven't on Verbal Graffiti, so let me make it public. I am a firm believer, the B-man, that the most dangerous time to drive is after the 1 p.m. games, NFL Sunday. So East Coast, that would be anywhere between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. You go to the sports bar, you go to your friend's house, you're drinking beer, you're doing shots, you lost a bet, you're having some jungle juice, you're boozing. You're boozing, you've had a few, but you're not blitzed, you're just sauced. So you drive home to have dinner or to watch the 4 o'clock games, but you're not the only one. Everybody is. So you get on the road after a 1 o'clock game, after the witching hour. There were probably more drunk drivers per capita on the road after the 1 o'clock NFL games than any other time during the year. Literally, you go on the highway after a 1 o'clock game, and there are so many drunk people, it must be impossible for the police officers to pick out the drunk drivers. Because if everybody's drunk driving and just swaying back and forth, it's nearly impossible to pick out which ones are drunk because they're all driving the same way. So that's me personally. I try to stay off the roads after those 1 o'clock games because I do know that there are a lot of sauce drivers who don't think they're so sauced driving on the road during that time. And this is probably one of you. But yeah, you get pulled over 1 p.m. They go, oh, 11 midnight after Sunday night football, and you don't just, no, I didn't have any beers. You don't even do the breathalyzer. If the police officer like, hey, I know you say you didn't have anything, but I'd like to give you a breathalyzer, refuse. Now, if he takes you out of the vehicle, it's okay if you fail a test. Like if you're sauced, you're drunk, you're blitzed, it's just, oh, touch your nose and you poke your eye out trying to do that, or you walk in the line and you fall over, whatever test they do now, it's okay if you fail. You just want to prolong the time between you get pulled over and when they give you a blood test. You want the blood test because that gives you more time to hopefully sober up and get under the .08 DUI level. So the longer that you could take from getting pulled over to when they take you to the station and give you the blood test, the better for your sake, for not for all the safe drivers, but for you and your DUI and all that goes with that. That is the goal. Prolong the time that before they do the blood test. So avoid the breathalyzer, fail the test, just do not admit to drinking. And here's a few things to I was thinking about this. Okay, let's assume, right, the racist that the B-man is, let's assume you're a white guy, right? You're a white guy, you're driving. How do I get out of DUI? If it's a female cop, all right. If it's a male cop, like you're fucked. You're probably gonna get the Dewey, or you're gonna have to deal with law enforcement. But if it's a female cop and you see her walking, walking towards your car, just unzip your pants, unzip the fly, and put half a ball out. Because I've heard that female cops go gaga for ball cleavage. So just show a little ball to the female officer, and maybe she'll play ball with you and be lenient with your, and only give you like a speeding ticket instead of the Dewey. If you're a black driver, just slap yourself in the face, give yourself a bruise, some welts, so that way you can claim that the white officer was beating you up, violence against you. You could get everyone to rally behind you. And if you're a female driver, a babe driver, well, I'm sure you've done this plenty of times. You just show a little bit more cleavage. Oh, there's a tit. Sorry, officer, there's my tit. It comes out. Sorry, wink, wink. And, maybe you suck them off. But better to suck off an officer if you're a babe than to have to get a DUI. That's our stance here at Verbal Graffiti. I'm sure many of you babes will agree. Like, would you rather have to go through a DUI, $10,000, lose your driver's license, the shame that goes with that, or suck a cop off and no one will know about it and your driving record is clean? I think we know the answer to that. So yeah, but as always, never admit to even having one drink to any law enforcement. Go suck a fat one.